Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ask E Everything. I hope you're doing well and having a great day so far. The question of the afternoon is anything in life actually free? This is an interesting one to think about. It came about recently, again, as I was kind of processing a lot of the news that's going on all around us in the world today. And I just kept hearing the kind of statements regarding how much everything costs, and just with the cost of everything that's going on to us, the negative impact of everything, and how there's just so much debt accumulating, and we're going to be so far behind, and all of these things. And I was watching some local lawmakers in an interview on TV discussing how they could spend less potentially to come out of the situation that they're in with less of an economic detriment. Anyway, the whole word, I just kept hearing the word cost so much, and I started to think to myself, remind myself to consider the idea of what things actually cost. And of course, there's the monetary sense that we could think about, which is pretty cut and dry. Things cost money. That's just the way that it typically seems to go for the most part. But it got me thinking kind of further outside the box and considering just what other things that aren't just so cut and dry, like grocery items at the store, and protective equipment for hospitals and things like this. But I started to think to myself, well, what in life is actually free? And this is a debate that I've been having for many years now, probably since the first time someone asked me that kind of question. It was just like, is anything actually free? Can you actually ever get something for free that doesn't cost something? And I've often thought about it, and I think I had some answers in the past, but this time around I tried to really focus in on it and get to more of a, not only just a succinct answer, but an answer that is then useful to be able to take and do something with. So again, at a glance, when you ask this question, there's some kind of interesting answers that will recurrently come up, which will be things like, well, gifts are free. When I receive a gift, it was free. It did not cost you anything to receive a gift from somebody. Of course, if we examine that a little further and back up a little bit, we could realize that whatever that is that you were given most likely did cost someone something else down the line prior to coming to you. So even though it may not have cost you anything specifically, it did come at a cost to someone at some point. You could get into some more interesting answers, like the air is free. The air that we breathe is free. But if you really even think about that from a scientific perspective, every bit of oxygen that you take in is at the cost of some other being that also needs that oxygen, whether it's a plant or just another human being breathing it. So even though that seems like a quick, good answer that's outside the box, somewhere down the line, again, that air, by you taking it in, is costing another living being something, or is coming at a cost to another living human being or a plant. Anyway, that's kind of the little gist of picking something as simple as a can of beans at the store to something more creative like a gift, and then this kind of esoteric answer like the air. Anyway, not satisfied with really where I was going, I started thinking to myself, well, what is the actual essence of getting down to this? And the reason I wanted to explore it was because I was thinking to myself, at a time where financially things are actually costing so much, and we're kind of buried in this story of just incurring debt, I wanted to get to something. I was craving to get to an answer, that I could actually find that would be, this kind of eureka moment or something to celebrate. So after some more exploration, I thought to myself, am I going to find anything? And I did get to a point where I started to think to myself, no, nothing is actually free. Everything costs something somewhere down the line. But then as I was thinking, out loud to myself, it literally hit me. And so, I've got the answer for today. And the answer is that there are actually two things at least so far that I've discovered, that are entirely free, that don't cost anything. And this is good news because these two things that I've landed on happen to hold probably more value than any other amount of money or any other material possession or any other concept that we could ever imagine. So this is great news. The two things are our thoughts and our emotions. Now, as I kind of landed here, I thought to myself, well, wow, is it really that simple? And so I started to ask those questions. Well, is it really true that our thoughts don't cost us anything? And the more I explored it, I couldn't really come up with a counterpoint to it. The emotion side of things got a little more interesting because I started to think to myself, well, you could have an emotion or emotional experience, and that could then lead you to do something based on that emotion. You could actually say the same about a thought, that a thought or an emotion could lead you to, quote, do something that may come at a cost to you or someone else. But that's further down the line. It's not necessarily the case that every emotion or thought that you have would lead to something. That something that you would be doing would be an action. And so therefore that action that you take based on that thought or emotion would be the thing that then costs you something. So, as I kept going back and forth and down the line and trying to figure it out, as I said, I couldn't really argue with myself that the actual thoughts themselves, what occurs to us in our mind, and what occurs to us as far as the way that we feel, actually come at a cost to anyone. Again, that caveat being that we're talking about these two concepts prior to actually doing anything about them. Anyway, as I hit this and continued to debate it and really couldn't get, past, that kind of, trying to play devil's advocate and actually couldn't come up with anything, the joy in me, definitely started to build, and so did the excitement, because I just became fascinated on this idea that it turns out, we are, potentially infinitely wealthy. We are potentially infinitely rich with these two commodities that not only come free of charge to us in every aspect of imagination, but they also happen to, as I said before, hold more value than any other amount of currency that we can ever obtain. This is great news for everyone right now, specifically in this situation, myself included, because there's enough going on in the financial realm already, right? There's enough burdens, there's enough debt taking place. I'm sure all of you know debt well. I certainly do. And it's just not pretty. It doesn't lead really to anything good other than just kind of the triumph of trying to beat it. But the stress that comes along with it and the burdensome sense of it, can be pretty overwhelming. And I do believe that all these news stories are really, essentially just adding to that stress for everyone involved, whether it's, people's personal debt under their own roof or just these, incredible amounts of news stories taking place that are just kind of repeating the same thing about how much this is costing the economy and how much this is, gonna cost us all down the road, and kind of, all the negativity. Again, the negativity pops up a lot in these videos, but it's definitely, it seems to be the media outlets and a lot of people's favorite focus, just because it's so easy to, get in a downward spiral. What we're trying to do here is flip that and get back into an upward spiral and get in the positive direction. So, well, what do we do about this, right? Well, we think to ourselves, wow, I've got a lot of, opportunity here, not only to already acknowledge that I am wealthy in this ability to be able to freely think and freely feel how I want to feel, but I can continue to grow this wealth, and that growth doesn't even cost me anything. So unlike a financial investment where, you could fall under the umbrella statement that it, takes money to make money, which is kind of what we hear all the time, right? You have to invest to actually be able to grow it and make more. You have to, reinvest and continue to kind of take profits and put them back in so that you can get more out in the long run. Well, that might work for some folks, but you actually have to have that, actual currency, to be able to do that in the financial realm. We are blessed, with this ability and this opportunity to actually just look at our wealth from within. And we can grow that anytime we want, 24/7, around the clock, any day, any time of the day, and throughout the year. And the beauty of that is as we grow that wealth by using that, cost-free thought and emotion, we can therefore, strengthen ourselves, build up our self-wealth, and then actually start to pay that forward, right? And even that doesn't cost us anything. I mean, you could say, yeah, well, the actions that you take to spread those things around, come at some kind of cost. But if you have a positive state of mind as you're sharing that wealth and as you're spreading it around to other people, it will not come at a cost. As a matter of fact, it will probably only add to that wealth in a snowball effect, because it will feel good and positive to actually pass on your positive thoughts and your emotions. Now, someone might say to me as a counterpoint, well, what about bad thoughts or that you have, or negative emotions that you might experience? And one of the kind of beautiful disasters of our thought process is that we don't really control our thoughts as they flow, freely, kind of from our, our mind. It's essentially, a waterfall of free thought. Occasionally, bad thoughts come about. Of course, occasionally you may experience bad emotions, but remember, prior to actually acting on them, they're still in your little control center. And before you release them or actually let them have any power, specifically in this case when it comes to the negative side of things, you have that checkpoint and that ability to actually say, hold on a second, before I let this out into the universe, before I actually do something about this and potentially go on to maybe bring myself or someone else down or cause a negative impact to the universe, how can I actually edit this or level it out, or maybe bag it all together, or essentially take just a different look at it and flip it to something that will be more positive or have more upside or more great potential rather than to be detrimental. To me, this is just a great concept, right? Like you've got this ability, this cost-free opportunity to think whatever you want to think and to feel whatever you want to feel. It doesn't cost you a dime. And then you take that and you go and you spread it. It's like the greatest charity I know. In these times, being perfectly honest, it doesn't surprise me if a lot of people would be sitting there and saying, I wish I would love to give to these causes, but I just don't have the actual dollars and cents right now. Well, what you do have and what you'll always have is the ability to take some kind of positive thought, positive energy, positive emotion, and give it away. And you can give it infinitely. That's the beauty of this. Potentially you will never run out of this asset. And that's why I believe it's the greatest asset that any person will ever know. So that's my answer for today. I really do think that if anyone can challenge me on either of those, it would be great. I'd love to hear a counterpoint. Just in case there's something I'm not thinking about. But as far as I can tell, there are a few things in life that are free and that do not cost us anything. And those are our thoughts and our feelings. So think freely, feel freely, try to get some positive energy going, save it up, get the savings account strong first, and then take it and start investing it in yourself, in your loved ones, and then outward into your community and into the universe. And as you do that, it's going to be an amazing, chain where the wealth is just going to spread. And, even though we'll have the financial debt throughout the world, which we can't really control for the most part, we'll be richening the rest of the aspects of life, and kind of putting our stamp on society in a way that is very powerful and in a way that no one can really take away from us, you know. So instead of creating debt, we'll actually just be creating, you know, kind of this, you know, amazing amount of you know, positivity. And again, it'll be on a measure and to a benefit unlike any amount of money or any gift or any other material possession has ever accomplished. So that's it for me. The flip the script for today is pretty simple. Is there anything else that you can think of that is completely free, that does not cost anything? And the follow-up to that is just to try to see, do you have a counterpoint to this message, and is there anything flawed in it that, you know, as far as you think the answer goes? Other than that, you know, spread it all and let's get the energy flowing. I want to remind you that the only dumb question, as far as I'm concerned, is the one that goes unanswered. So let's continue to ask questions. Let's answer them, and then let's share them around. Let's think about it, be about it, talk about it. And as always, be courteous and be curious. We'll see you next time.